Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's Adam Ratliff with Adam So Fun. And today we are going to be working in Pro Stitcher. We're going to do a whole cloth quilt, but we're doing things a little bit different. I had purchased, you can't see it, but I had purchased this tie-dyed vintage napkin. And I have all of these other vintage napkins that I have. And it's like, what do you do with it? What am I going to do with it? Well, we're going to quilt it. Why not? Why not do something on this? So there was a new whole cloth when I was teaching on the cruise Thanksgiving. I taught the funny thing, I was teaching one day and I went to ProStitcher.com, and from, let's see, Tuesday to Friday, a new batch of designs was downloaded. So on Friday when I went and I was showing people where you can purchase things, there was a set of new designs. And I saw this whole cloth, I said I have to do it. So this is the Sonder Medallion Quilt. It is not made to be 18 inches square, but that's what we're going to do, because with Pro Stitcher we can make things big, we can also make them small. So I have this tie-dyed or like hand-dyed vintage linen that I'm going to be stitching on. Today we're going to stitch with metallics. So these are Superior Threads metallics. They are my favorite. I have every color. I think almost every color. I actually brought out a bunch of different ones today. And I was auditioning. I really wanted to use a blue because it's kind of a blue and purpley. But ultimately, I ended with a silver, a little brighter silver. This is kind of a duller silver than the one I'm stitching with. But we're going to do that. I am using 623 bottom line silver. So it's bottom line 623 silver in my bobbin. It's what I use in my bobbin anytime I use metallics. I went through one hole in the barber pole. Basically, I have the chart from Superior Threads. You can get your TOA chart or just your long arm thread chart. They're free. They're under the education under the education section of Superior Threads. Go there, check it out, print it out. And when you use those different threads, it tells you how to thread it. One of the things that I do when I use metallics, I put my thread, if you have two thread masts, I stick it on the farther one back. I'm going to go through both masts, so I'm going to go straight up into the first one and come through the second one. Gives some time for that thread to relax before it starts going through everything. I went through one hole in the barber pole, loosened that tension up, stitched a little bit on my practice swatch, and everything is looking perfect. I was talking about doing this in my live yesterday, yesterday. And I said, should I use metallic? And people were like, yes. And then people were like, no, don't fight that tension. Tension looks fantastic. Batting wise, I found scraps. So I'm going to be using some wool. This is Quilter's Dream wool. It's going to make it nice and puffy. And then under it, it's a piece that I took off something else. This is just a poly. It's a Quilter's Dream poly. So I do love Quilter's Dream products, so I use a lot of that. The design is called Sonder Medallion. You can see it below. If you are a member of the Pro Stitcher Club, it is one membership download. And if not, you can purchase it. Remember, anytime you shop at ProStitcher.com, put in my affiliate code ASF10, and that will save you an additional 10% off of anything that's not free. I mean, if you're using downloads, you get those for free. But yeah, I'm going to set this up. There's two different ways to do it. They have directions with it. It's actually made in rows. So you can do like row 1, row 2, row 3, and there's 6 rows if you're going to do this in rows. We are going to shrink this down because this originally opens at, I didn't even look, oh, I can look at the type. It's 45 by 45. I'm going to stitch this at 18 by 18 because I'm going to put it right here on this napkin, or on the napkin. The nice thing for me is the whole thing fits in my throat. I took my ruler base off. So there's no ruler base because I needed that extra inch. And so I took the ruler base off. Everything's going to fit. I'm going to be able to stitch this whole thing out. So I'm just going to start at the top and go down. I didn't pre-base the whole thing, so but I did baste around the edges. I might, well no, I'm not because the metallic's in there now. I was like, I could have pre-basted, like gridded it like a 4x4. Or 4 lines vertical, 4 lines horizontal to hold it through. I think we're gonna be okay how we're doing it. Other things that I can think of that somebody's gonna ask. I do have my glide foot on. Yeah, I'm just gonna start from the top down. I'm just gonna follow the quilting path. That's a nice thing for me. And if I go to my stitch stats, I always forget where they are. I don't use them that often. It should take me 30 minutes and 17 seconds to finish this napkin. And if it looks really good, I can package it up, put a little bow on it, and Merry Christmas to somebody. So I have all those, I have all that stack of linens. These would be great gifts, you know, just stitched with a matching thread, just a neutral. And these ones happen to have a little bit of embroidery on it. You can just cut out this side or don't put this part in there to make it kind of integrate it into it. I don't know, opening your eyes. If you have a Moxie, if you have the Moxie or Moxie XL or even a 16, you might not be able to do this whole thing on pass, but you can do it and split it up into two. So for those of you with the smaller machines, this is to show you can make those designs smaller and they're still gonna work. Okay, so you don't have to do it 45 by 45. If you have a row that's too big, you're allowed to shrink it. You're allowed to make it fit and make it work for what you're doing. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring you up here. We'll talk about the design, we'll look at it. There are a bit of jumps because there's certain rows that it just has to jump around to get. But hey, we're gonna deal with it. It's only gonna be 30 minutes to stitch out time, and anything I've talked about, threads and all that stuff, I'll link below so you can see what I was actually saying in case you didn't pick it up. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when new videos drop. And I'm home, so I've been posting videos again. And what else? Oh, follow me on social media, Adam's So Fun with an S-E-W on Facebook and Instagram. If you already follow me, you saw a picture of this last night because I took a picture whenever it was done, or I'm going to. And yeah, yes, this video comes out tomorrow morning. I'm a little bit late. I couldn't find my SD card for my camera. So we're gonna get into this video. We'll see you in a second. All right, so here we are. It is loaded. What I did, it has some like heirloom stitches on the outside of this. So I used my Surefoot, because the Surefoot was on, to gauge a 1/4 inch away from that all the way around. So I'm gonna have an extra 1/4 inch around the edges. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fold on the heirloom stitching whenever it's done to the back and treat it like it is a facing. So I'm gonna take it, so you won't actually see that. I don't know, I'm not sure. I can always flip this over and trim off all of that extra batting back there and do something, I don't know, who knows? We'll see what happens whenever it actually happens. But it's a really pretty panel. I can't remember, I bought it at a show. What I did before I loaded it is I marked the center. So I just folded it, creased it, and then there's a little purple dot. I might have turned my lights off, which is always hard for me to see, but it's better for you to see, so that's gonna work. And so this is how it's loaded. Like I said, I didn't base the whole thing, but it should be fine. I do have my glide foot on. So I'm gonna raise you up to the screen. And here we are. This is the design. This is the Sonder medallion quilt, and there's a lot going on. I am very excited. I think this is going to look really great on this napkin. First thing I have to do is I need to mark my corners so I can resize this. So I'm going to go to my area tab because we're just going to skew it. That's going to work the best. And I have my area tab. I'm going to be using 2 corner over on the area tab, but I'm not going to hit it until I get to my first corner. Luckily for me, I have where my corners are. I can see them pretty easy, so I'm coming back here, putting it right on that corner. I'm not gonna lean on my bars like I was just doing, and I'm gonna hit 2 corner. And you can hear the ding. Now, I'm coming to the front, and I'm gonna do the opposite one. The reason I'm using 2 corner is I wanna keep this square-ish. It's gonna be square-ish. It probably won't be perfect. Wow. That is pretty perfect. I was using my channel locks whenever I was loading this. So I have width of 17.87, height of 17.85. I have to say that's pretty good. But look how small we're gonna make this compared to what it originally was digitized at. So I'm gonna go to modify. I'm gonna go to my skew button. And we have the 2 skew options. Remember, anytime you have 4 points with right angles, skew 1 is, or it used to be called skew 1. The top skew is gonna be your better bet. Anytime you have anything else, the bottom skew, the border skew. And when you're talking about border skew, what I want you to do is don't think about it as border, like you're doing a border of a quilt. Think of it as is using the borders to calculate and resize the shape. So we're gonna hit skew 1 or skew and pop it in there. I can hit border skew. It's not gonna change, not with this because it's almost a square. But there we are, bottom house refresh to see it. And very important, what do we always do after we skew? We're gonna come over and hit baseline. So one of the nice things about this, I'm gonna come down here and hit my magnifying glass, my 1:1. Because I want to see the true size. So this is the true size of that center. Like my hand, the palm of my hand is how big that center part is going to stitch. So this is going to be some pretty tight stitching. I'm okay with that. Remember, we're doing it 18, or it's not even 18 by 18. It was 17.87, but it's 17.87. Oh, I think it's going to look fantastic. One of the things that when I usually use metallic thread, I like to stitch a little bit. I'm going to move my crosshairs to where it's probably want to start or near where it wants to start. It's something I always do. I'm going to tilt you down and talk to you while I work. One of the things I like to do when I use metallics is I like to stitch with the larger stitch length because the more surface area that the metallic has on the, or just out, so the more surface area the metallic has, the shinier it can be because more light's gonna reflect off of it. In this case, I'm stitching, this is pretty small. I'm gonna stitch it probably 13. I was gonna do 12, but I think 13 might look a little better. So I'm gonna get some color. It's not gonna shine as much as if I were stitching bigger, but it's still gonna be shiny because it's metallic. So I'm gonna move some of the lights. It already knows where it wants to start. Oh, let's go back here. All right, so for all of you who don't have the infinity, who can't fit this whole thing in your throat, there's a few things I want you to do. One, you can open this. So they give you all of the row files. So if I go to File, Design, Open, and I show you this, I have all of the designs for each row. And they're colored depending on which one you're doing, and that is in the instructions. You'll see that blue and red have multiple pieces, and those are because that there's a lot of jumps, so they just put them in there. You could use zero placement with this. So you could open your piece. So let's say I'm gonna just open a few of these really quick. And there's my lime. Let's do I want one of the turquoise. I wish I remembered where the colors were. Blue 3 looks like it goes in that turquoise thing. So let's see. I'm trying to figure out how to do this the easiest way. Let's just move you over. So it's going to get a little confusing because we have our main design and I already set it up, so I don't want to move it. But you can use zero placement. So we're going to pretend that my crosshairs are right at the center of my quilt, where whatever I'm doing, this whole cloth. I bought these from ProStitcher.com. They're the HQV, very important, HQV file type. If I pick the design, so there's that, the outside, this would be basically row 1, and I go to my Modify tab, and I say Reposition. On my sidebar, you have all of these options, and I'm going to use the Reposition 0, and that's going to move that design up. So now all of the designs that when I open them, as long as my crosshairs are right at the center every time, I can pick that next design, modify, reposition, and I can hit 0. And you'll see it start putting things in place. I can pick that other one and hit 0. And it will fit and put everything into place. So you do have the option of getting, not even the option, you get both. You get the full set already done for you, or you get the pieces where you can do them yourself. Again, I can fit everything, so I'm not gonna have to advance and move things. So I just am using the whole piece by itself, but you can see all the jumps. So that's all of the different pieces. So ProStitcher's already done it for me. But if you're doing it like this, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna open the whole thing, I'm gonna start at the top, I'm gonna stitch, and then I can cut my square out later. If you go to your Pro Stitcher tab, New Start End, and you come over here and you use your arrows, you can see how the design is. There's a magnet there. Look, there's a magnet on my screen. I just found that out. Things you find while doing a live. That's funny, or making a video. All right, sorry. So let's see, bottom house refresh. So if you watch the start circle over there and I hold this arrow down, you can see it cycle through. So you can see the stitch path. That would take a long time because there's 1,300 units, but you can also just scroll your finger down and kind of go through where things are going to stitch. So that's a little trick I do. Anytime I do a whole cloth, I always do this. I usually take it into Pro Stitcher Designer, open the design, and just run and watch the stitch out that way, so I have an idea of what's going on. So there's your little tricks for those of you who can't just fit everything in. I understand that happens. I am going to I'm going to change the camera a little bit. We're just going to start stitching. And honestly, the bulk of the video is going to be just watching the stitch because I don't have to do anything. That's part of the reason I thought this would be a good video. If you need a quick gift and you use this, or even if you just do a hook cloth, there you're gonna have to advance, but if you shrink it to fit into the throat that you have available, all I have to do is work with the jumps. You know me, I don't like my machine to jump, so I'm gonna do tie-offs at all of the jumps, but other than that, it was loading the quilt, setting it up, and now I get to stitch it. So enjoy the stitch out. I'll throw some music on. I'll probably fast forward a little bit, but here we go. All right, so I'm gonna move my machine near where it wants to start. That's just a me thing. I have my start and end pull up auto on. My machine is set to regulated cruise 175 with 13 stitches per inch. And here we go, we're off to the races. Okay, so we're interrupting the regular scheduled program for a little lesson. So if you look at this, you'll see parts of this that are shining a little bit more. And something happened where tension got off. So if I put my hand under, there's a real big nest under there, about here and over here. Again, I kind of like it because it's shiny. Nobody's ever going to know. So I think I might put something on the back so you can't see that the tension got off. But you're going to see this area is a little shinier. Over here's a little bit shinier. And on regular stitching, those stitches are going to look like they're kind of floating. And what happened is I'm an idiot and I make mistakes. And I actually threaded this wrong. And so I'm going to show you what I did because I want everybody to know we all do it. It is part of life. So I was threading this and I talked, oh, I can't even see. Okay, so this is what we're going to show you. And I guess I have to put the camera so it has to actually sit down. Oh, that will work. So I kept looking over and my thread had popped off of this. And this is so how the check spring can move down and come down and actually tell you like, hey, I have thread. But I'm supposed to go from here to my stirrup, and I didn't go to the stirrup. Apparently, I forgot the stirrup was there, so I was coming from here to here. So when that tension got really loose, the thread stopped coming under this, and I'm still on my disc. It's still tight, but it was coming straight from there to here. And because of that, it released some tension on the thread. So my thread had broke, which is why I paused it. Came back, I was rethreading, and this is the first time I noticed, because I noticed that tension had gotten loose when I noticed I came over here, I saw shiny stitching, reached under, and I'm like, oh, I can feel that stitching, so I'm gonna increase my tension. I tested tension before this, and everything looked good, but that's what's happening here. Those stitches are up a little bit. I tightened it, looked better here, but now it's too tight whenever you actually thread it right. So I'm gonna come back, and we're coming back over here. I'm going to thread this correctly, where I go under that bar and under my stirrup. And now that tension's gonna be way too tight. So now I'm gonna have to go loosen my top tension. And usually I can feel, I'm gonna zoom out. There we are. Usually I can pull my thread and feel how tight this is and know how tight my tension should be. So I will do this, so let's see. I was at 25, I'm gonna go down to like 10 and pull, and that's about what I should feel right there, so I like that. I can test my tension over here again before I start stitching. I won't make you watch that, but I just do some circles can you even see where I'm pointing? Down, I have a piece of fabric right here, so I'll just do some circles to test that tension. But now I'm threaded correctly, so now everything should be fine. Again, this part won't be as shiny as the rest of it because because the stitches are going to be smaller and those threads aren't laying on top of the fabric. But when you're using metallic, if you want that to shine, sometimes having a tension that's a little bit worse towards the back makes the front look even better because it's sitting on top and that everything shines. I'm also gonna grab my awl. I had just started this point. Can you see where I'm talking? You can't because there's light. I'm gonna grab my awl and I'm gonna rip, because it had just started and then it broke. So I'm gonna grab my awl, rip that part out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this is the Clover Curved Awl. It has that beautiful curved tip, and it makes pulling out threads a breeze. I can't do it this way because I'm like looking the other way. Because it's a blunt tip, if you poke it, it's not gonna rip it. And you can get up under those stitches if you can see them. I can't see them because the light's off. So let me, I'm gonna pull this out, if I can see it, and get ready, and I'll bring you back whenever everything is ready to go. Bum ba bum ba ba da ba bum. We're done. While I am trimming this, so I had some issues with my thread at the beginning. Actually, this whole second half, I had 0 issues. 100% operator error. We already talked about my dummy-ness did not actually thread it correctly. I also didn't change the needle. I should have been using an 18 needle. I knew that. I was pretty sure there was a 16 needle in there. I went for it. I had I probably had about 6 thread breaks from this side up, 0 thread breaks on the bottom. So, you know, follow directions. I never change my needle for the most part. Usually I know better when I'm working with metallic or monofilament, like a monopoly or something, or a micro quilter. I usually just know that I'm gonna have issues if I don't, so I'll change it. But this time I didn't because I thought I was better than that. Dumb, don't think that. I'm trying to lift this up. Oh, I'm trying to lift my camera up, but I'm stepping on the cord that's holding it. So here is the final quilt. I don't know how I'm gonna finish it yet. Let me see. Oh gosh, this is gorgeous. Again, the design is called Sonder. Oh, it turned out gorgeous. Now, I think next week, I'm going to show you how to take this into the designer and combine things. There's a lot of places where there's jumps that don't need to be there. Especially like here where you have this row that is this tall and this inset. This inset and the row all can start and stop right here. So you should be able to do this full row in one pass. There's pieces here that you can add. I understand for those of you who don't have a bigger throat where maybe some of these pieces you have to do one at a time. If this row is this tall, I should be able to incorporate that into this. But again, I think this looks fantastic. And if I could set this and hit start and have 3 jumps in this thing, if that, because I could connect all of this ring, connect all of this ring. So I'd have basically the centerpiece, this ring, and the outside ring, and stitch a bunch of these for gifts. Oh my gosh, so quick. So next week we'll be working in designer and we will be combining rows and doing things. A lot of this you probably could do in Pro Stitcher, but we'll do it in designer, or maybe we'll do it in Pro Stitcher. I don't know, a lot of you don't have designer. We'll see what happens. But this is gorgeous. And I'm gonna post a picture on my Facebook and Instagram, so don't forget to follow me, AdamSoFun, so you can see this before the video comes out tomorrow. All right, everyone, so we are done. This quilt came out fantastic. I knew it was gonna look good. I didn't know it was gonna look that good. I'm a little bummed that I had those issues with the thread because you know me, no thread's gonna scare me away. I'm gonna get it to work. And 100% operator error for every issue I had. One thing, if this were a gift, I was gonna give it away, I would probably rip that first row out. I'm not a ripper. You know me. At the end of the day, it's just a quilt. It got pretty far off. And even looking here, it looks a little bit different. I'm not gonna rip it off. I'll just put something over the back so nobody knows that the tension got off. I'll show you a picture. I'll take a picture of the front and back when I was talking about how the tension got off and how I could feel it, so you know, so you understand what I'm talking about. And because this is going to happen to some of you, your threads will slip out of the disc, so it's a learning experience. I'm not going to sweat the small stuff. I can cover that, and the front looks so good, so it's fine. I also, because this is a linen napkin, it was really hard to pull the threads out. Even with the awl, the weave is so loose, so it would just take me forever. So I'm not gonna worry about it because it is just a quilt. So this is the Sonder Wholecloth Quilt. This is available at ProStitcher.com. Remember, when you're shopping ProStitcher.com, you can use my affiliate code ASF10 and save yourself 10%. Regardless, memberships, all that stuff, I think it works. If you're already a member, go download it. It's one download. It's really 45 by 45, so find your favorite panel, stitch this out on it. It would look great, but it also looks really good small. I mean, I was sending pictures to Mickey and Barb while I was stitching it. They're like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So that's that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when new videos drop. Next week, like I said, we're going to talk about how to combine this and make it into just a few jumps instead of having the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 14-ish. We're going to say ish because some of those are on top of each other. So, yeah, I would like 3, maybe 4. Oh gosh, if I could do that in 4 jumps, it would stitch so fast. That's part of the time, is dealing with those jumps. So thank you for watching. Give me a big thumbs up so more people can see my videos and fall in love. I love you all. Thank you for what you do. And remember, at the end of the day, it's just quilting. We want to have a good time. So go out there and quilt something, and we'll see you next week, everybody. Bye.